Hello, fellow music nuts. It's me, Cubby, with another personal spin, and right now I'm going to do a ranking video, and this ranking is for Cradle of Filth, which I found this quite difficult to do because while I quite like Cradle of Filth, most of their albums they don't diversify very much, so you kind of know what you're getting with Cradle of Filth. So, as always, this ranking video will be my personal opinion, and it will be kind of more of my favourite album, or my least favourite to my favourite album, or sort of the album that I listen to more than the rest of them type thing, rather than a best of type thing. So, let's begin. Cradle of Filth, album 1. So this is my least favourite at the moment. Again, these are quite fluid and change quite often. Is Darkly, Darkly Venus Aversa. The main reason is I found this one to be the least diverse of their discography. It just was very long and was basically the same song like 12 times, and nothing really stood out. It just like never really clicked. So next is the Manticore and Other Horrors. This one's an interesting one because they do try a couple of new things, but it's also kind of flawed, and I think it's because the band were in a bit of an upheaval stage. But I won't be doing reviews. This is just the next one for me. Yes, and next up is they don't have the front cover for this one because I stuck it on a wall. Principle of Evil Made Flesh. I don't know if you can read that. This is the band's debut album. I like it, and it's the most black metal-y of their albums, complete with disgusting production ethics. But that, for me, therein lies the problem. I find it quite difficult to listen to. It's quite tinny and flimsy sounding, and the songs are very good, but the production just puts me off a bit. Although I don't mind raw production, this is just it's a step too far for me, I think. Next up, we have, now this is the newest album of theirs that I've bought. I've got them all, but I literally bought this so I could do this ranking, and that's Thornography. I didn't buy this when it came out because it had a terrible cover on it and everyone told me it was crap. And at the time it came out, I was very easily influenced. And so therefore, I sort of went with the flow and didn't buy it. However, I bought it for like £1, which I'm quite pleased about. I actually think it's not that bad. It's not their best by a long shot. Sorry, just getting comfortable. Not their best by a mile, but it's quite good. Danny has this way of making screaming or screeching or whatever you want to call it, his vocal performance, in such a way that's very catchy, and I found that's quite the case on this album. Oops. Next up, we have Nymphetamine. I bought this from Milton Keynes Library for 50p. And it's pretty good. We're getting to the sort of more, for me anyway, more memorable albums, and the production on these ones is a lot better. And Nymphetamine, kind of, again, a lot of the purists didn't really like it because it was about as commercial as Cradle of Filth could get, if you can call them commercial. It's good. It's quite a lot of rich textures to it. Next up, we have their one and only debut, major label debut, unless Roadrunner is a major label. I don't think it was considered it at the time. Anyway, in this album they have only one guitarist, but they have the whole of the, is it the Prague Budapest something choir, a whole orchestra anyway, and it's actually really good. Bit long though, but it's pretty good, and there's quite a lot of catchy songs on it, but it's not as, there's a bit more of a focus on sort of chuggy riffs. I'll be reviewing all these in a later video, which is why I'm trying not to review them now, but it's quite hard trying to justify my opinions without reviewing them. Next up we have one of their more recent albums, Hammer of the Witches. Is it Hammer of the Witches? Yeah, Hammer of the Witches. Some really good tracks on this, and this one actually has two bonus tracks, which I quite like as well. The title track is obviously really good, but I need to listen to this one a bit more before I can do an actual review, but I know it sits about here in the discography for me because I like the production. It's kind of got the classic Cradle of Filth sound, and I like it. Then we have Cryptoriana, their newest album, which is really good. You Will Know the Line by His Claw is a pretty good song, and I've noticed Danny is beginning to do some almost clean vocals, which is pretty cool. I quite like that. But now we're in the top 5. So these are my 5 most favourite Cradle of Filth albums. Well, actually, technically it's 4, but it's kind of 5, but I'll explain that in a minute. So next up we have their classic Midian album. This was probably their most commercially successful album, I would think. I've always found that back cover really disturbing. It's got Her Goes on the Fog, which is kind of a classic of theirs. And Cthulhu Dawn is pretty good. It's a good one. It's got lots of Lovecraftian lyrics, I think is the word for it, and I've always liked Danny's poetic lyrics. They have a nice mix of guitar and keyboards, lead guitar type stuff, and a really cool bass on this one. Drums, sorry, well, and bass, I suppose. And yeah, it's a pretty cool album. Next we have their second album. This is their most sort of gothic in terms of style, although that's a really weird picture. But there's a lot of gothic overtones on this one, lots of keyboard and thick gothness on it, which I quite like. Although I didn't find it as catchy as the next one, but it's still pretty good. Probably a bit of a surprise. It was kind of a surprise to me actually as well, but the next one, and the second to last favourite, is Godspeed on the Devil's Thunder. It's a concept album about Guy de Rais, who is a French serial killer from the 1500s, sorry. And it's really good. It's really good. For me, this is like Cruelty and the Beast Take 2, but with much better production. And because of that, I've really always really liked it. I feel like Cradle of Filth's best albums are good. They do their best work when they do a concept album. That's what I was trying to say. And then my favourite album is Cruelty and the Beast. There's no cover on that because it's on a wall as well, but there's the remixed one. It's that good that I bought the remistressed version as well. For me, this album is just perfect. It's so good. It's gothic, it's dark, it's heavy, it's actually quite melodic, it's kind of sad. Tells a great story. The lyrics are amazing, the guitar work is amazing, the bass is amazing. It's actually, the bass guitar is better on the original, but the drums are better on the remistressed version. But I'll do a whole video of that when I review it, because I'll review these two together because they're the same album. I've already done a video of which one I prefer, although that changes literally every time I look at them. But it's my favourite album. It's my favourite album by Cradle of Filth anyway. So there you go. That was my ranking for Cradle of Filth. I found that quite difficult because I like all their albums. I don't. They're different and yet the same, if that makes sense. And it's an interesting discography, and they've definitely put out quite a few classic albums, at least in their genre. And hopefully there's at least a couple more to go. I mean, Danny Phil's only 40 something, and you know, be great. Can't wait for the next one. Yeah, I'd like to see them diversify a little bit, maybe, but you know, it's all good. I will review all these albums at some point in the future. I'm still working on Bowie's albums, as you would know if you're watching my channel. Anyway, thank you for watching. Let me know how you would rank Cradle of Filth and what you think of my decision. And I will see you soon on my next video. Please like and subscribe if you like my channel. Goodbye. Click.